I hope you enjoyed that great snapshot of Atlanta and its progress over the last 60 years. And now I'd like to welcome George Goodwin, Senior Counselor with Manning Selvage and Lee's Atlanta office and the Atlanta Dean of Public Relations. Mr. Goodwin was a Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter for the Atlanta Journal in 1947, and he covered the creation of the Metropolitan Planning Commission, ARC's predecessor. Also joining me is Tim Crimmins, Professor of History at Georgia State University and Director of the Center for Neighborhood and Metropolitan Studies. Tim is a fountain of knowledge about all things Atlanta. Thank you both for being here on The Shape of Things to Come. It's an exciting time as we celebrate 60 years of regional planning. And obviously, George, you've been able to witness this history over time. But in your opinion, what do you think has been one or two of the most important or key decisions or developments that have made Atlanta what it is today?
One would have been the plan of improvement. It's right, Atlanta had not had a great deal of formal planning, but that sort of put things together and became a basis on which a lot of subsequent things developed. I think the real factor of Atlanta is its location. It's just about in the middle of a significant southeastern region. It's circular in shape. And that incidentally is unique among American cities. And it's just in the right place at the right time.
What do you think, Tim? What were the key decisions that were made that have put us on the map?
Well, I think George laid out the plan of improvement, which called for the growth of Atlanta politically and geographically. And so at the beginning of regional planning, the original impetus was to have the city of Atlanta be the driving force for regional planning. But that didn't happen. What happened is the counties began to grow and take on their own governmental functions. And so we had to work out an arrangement to have a Metropolitan Planning Commission to bring them all together. And so that commission has been, or the commission's subsequent commissions, have been able to agree on big issues, which is really critical. That's transportation and water, just to name the two most important.
George, you were saying earlier that Mayor Hartsfield, who would have been mayor about this time, he served for 24 years, really resisted city planning.
Yes, he did. And the group that Tim just referred to really was a sort of a compromise situation to make up for the gap that the lack of city planning was provided. And somehow he didn't oppose that as much as he did just for Atlanta. If he had, he would have been in opposition to a substantial amount of his political backing. Mm-hmm. So it all, with time, worked out very well, and the Metropolitan Planning Commission proved to be a very effective agency.
But what else? What else happened during the time frame under Hartsfield that propelled us forward?
The critical thing that happened, Hartsfield initiated but came to fruition in the 60s and 70s, and that is that when regional planning began, we were planning for a racially segregated metropolis. And the earliest plans called for the highway system to reinforce lines of racial segregation. And so it was only with the doing away of the legalized segregation that we were able to plan for a metropolitan area with access to all.
What impact did MARTA have in the development of the city?
Well, MARTA was something that Atlanta wanted because New York, London, Paris had major subway systems. And so if Atlanta was going to be a player, it was part of this whole, ace, jack, king of cards that Atlanta wanted to have in order to become a major metropolis. And so we needed major sports venues in the 50s and 60s. We needed Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit. We needed a world-class airport. We needed a world-class convention center. So all of these, sort of jewels in Atlanta's crown, the groundwork for them was laid back in the 50s and 60s when the initial plans began to be developed.
Be specific about Hartsfield. I mean, Hartsfield had the first air traffic control system, the first to have parallel runways. The impact of Hartsfield Airport on the metro region and its progress.
Yeah, I think Hartsfield was really critical in terms of a vision for the things that would make Atlanta great, both Buford Dam and the airport. And so when he was a member of the Board of Aldermen before he became mayor, he was the leading proponent of public investment in a City of Atlanta municipal airport. And then as mayor, he saw that grow. And that's why Atlanta became the major transfer point in the Southeast, and it contributed mightily to our growth in the 60s and thereafter.
I've asked you how we've done. Is Atlanta what you thought it would be?
Yes, I believe very much it's what I thought it would be. And I think as you look to the future, it's going to be a lot like the present, much more of the same. And finally, we seem to have gotten away from the Atlanta versus county struggles.
Parting thoughts on celebrating 60 years of regional planning.
Well, I just think that part of understanding where we want to go is looking at where we've come and how far we've come. And we've seen this incredible mushrooming of the metropolitan Atlanta area from 2 million in 1984 to 4 million today. And we see right now that the systems that we've built aren't accommodating us. So we need to figure out ways of using these much more effectively.
All right, with that I have to say thank you to both of you, Tim Crimmins and George Goodwin. I appreciate your time on the Shape of Things to Come.
Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.